You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio, the only program dedicated 100% to healthcare and hospital safety concerns, delivered from a wide range of top experts and leaders in the field. And with that, today we have another important guest, Jason Wolf of the Beryl Institute. The Beryl Institute, located in Washington, D.C., is a worldwide community of leaders working together to improve the patient experience in healthcare. As president of the Beryl Institute, Jason is revolutionizing the Institute's services and outreach to position the organization as a globally recognized thought leader on improving the patient experience in healthcare. This includes framing a formal definition for patient experience and conducting the largest study to date on the state of patient experience efforts in the United States. As you know, we talk a lot about the patient experience on our show, and that's why I'm especially excited to have Jason with us here today. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks so much. It's great to be with you today as well.
Thank you. Well, Jason, to announce your appearance on our show today, we sent a huge email, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter blast asking for questions that our listeners and fans might have about the patient experience. So will you help us out with some of those questions today?
That'd be my honor. Hopefully, is this Stump Jason? I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. You can say pass if you don't want to answer. How's that? All right, Jason. A nurse in Nevada wrote, I work in a hospital and noticed that many times one department will say, we did everything accordingly. It's the, and they'll name another department as the one at fault. Yet the patient only has one experience. They don't know or care whose fault it is. What can we do as a provider to help blur the lines between departments to help create a seamless and positive patient experience?
Well, bravo to that nurse for recognizing probably one of the biggest critical issues in the patient experience conversation. You can have 30 encounters in a day, and if 29 are brilliant, but one falters, probably not going to be a great experience for that individual. So when organizations see that there are sort of lower performing units or challenging areas, my advice has always been that you have to bring it back to the macro level. What is that definition? What is that commitment for an organization overall? And how is that being reinforced in every place? Clearly through peer influence that can happen, but it does also really count on leadership in those organizations. And I would say leadership, not just the people that sit, say, for instance, in a C-suite or at the senior level, but leadership at all levels to encourage the kind of behaviors and expectations. And yes, I believe in a little bit of shameless peer pressure and even bringing the sense of competition to the conversation. So I think places that have had unbalanced units like that have used the ability to say, we'll publicly report your scores so that you know what's happening in your unit. And all of a sudden people realize, well, I don't want to be that unit that's the troublemaker or that's the weak link in the overall experience. There's lots of levers to use, and I think this individual is right on to say it needs to be constantly reinforced. You can't be afraid to address those individuals directly, that unit directly, because of the point that the weakest link is really the potential for a poor experience for a patient overall, regardless of how brilliant everyone else performs.
Oh, that's great. The weakest link basically is the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This next one, I'm not sure it's a question. James from New York emailed, Pat, here's my definition of the patient experience. I didn't die and people were nice to me.
Hey, you know what? That's valid. And if you ask someone about that, people have their own perception. So, if I had a chance to sit down with that patient when they were first entering our system or even pre-admission, what would the ultimate experience be for you? And you sat down and told me, I didn't die and you were nice to me. Mm-hmm. And we knew that all along the way. Now, of course, our intention in healthcare is to ensure you don't die unless we're going to do that peacefully, because that's the path, honestly, from diagnosis you're on,
right,
and to treat you nicely. But if we can then dig one question deeper and okay, but what do you really mean by that? And what are your expectations? What is nice for you?
Yes.
And we can now put that on someone's medical record or have it in their chart or on a sign next to their bed, where every time we encounter that patient, we know this is what they want. And we've done that. We've actually fulfilled our obligation to the patient experience in that sense. And my guess is, and I would bet, that it fits under whatever definition of patient experience that organization had in terms of achieving the best outcomes for that patient. So that's brilliant. And it perfectly exemplifies the opportunity that we have, and I think the one that we miss very often.
Yes, to manage their expectations. That's
mm-hmm.
Yep, good, thanks. All right, couple more. Sandy in Solon, Ohio asks, assuming you successfully describe the patient experience, how do you achieve it given the multitude of moving parts, systems, processes, and mostly people?
Yeah, I mean, healthcare is chaotic. And if we try to convince ourselves otherwise or oversimplify the process, then I think we're behind the eight ball from the very beginning. So recognizing that there are many moving parts, in some ways we have to simplify it to the best of our ability. When we realize that our obligation is obviously first and foremost the health and well-being of our patients to the best of our ability, and in doing so providing the top quality experience, the most unparalleled experience for them as possible, that's it. And I don't want to oversimplify it from understanding to this emailer's comment that it's chaotic. But if we understand what those simple things that we can do along the way are, some of that chaos tends to fall away. And a lot of it comes down to treating human beings like human beings with dignity and respect, understanding, and strong listening and encouragement to be involved. And you can see a lot of things go a lot better than if we get trapped in our protocol and process because we think we're supposed to do it that way in healthcare.
Right. We have two more. Call Me Skeptical asks, isn't the patient experience just a buzzword to allow the patient to think it's all about them when really it boils down to the fact that part of a hospital's payment comes from Medicare, who base a percentage of payment on the patient satisfaction scores? And will this movement last?
So Call Me Skeptical is probably, while they think a unique voice in the wilderness about this, probably the trending voice in the wilderness about this. Mm-hmm. And one of the things for me is what's so important about the work that we're doing via the Beryl Institute. Patient experience, from my perspective, cannot be a fad. It should not be a fad. And I don't think if we asked any patient or family member if we wanted to be a fad that people would say yes. I think one. Second, the fact is that the survey, the HCAP survey, the government regulation here, specifically in the United States, and now similar regulations that are occurring around the world, are, while probably annoying even to some healthcare leaders, were leading to the kind of results this individual suggests. What I believe more so is that they've created the air cover for the people that have known and wanted to do the right thing for a long time, but couldn't find the space in the context of their other requirements, specific measurements or bottom line actions or productivity numbers or those kind of things. So what I see is the silver lining in the fact that we require these activities because it now provides air cover for people to make the right decisions around experience. And then I would address the fact that when we think about this as purely a passing fancy because of reimbursement or something to that effect, the reality is that when people look at this for what it truly is, the ripple effect of experience impact is not simply a few, and I don't mean to diminish the amount, but a few $1 million lost because you didn't happen to make your scores or you're under the cut from the standpoint of your HCAP survey. It's the ripple effect that has. It's the way that your community talks about you. It's the way patients and families share stories. It's the reputation. It's the implications for action. It's how others engage in you. This is a much more expensive proposition than has been quantified or may even be quantifiable. And it's the organizations that understand that are making the right choices. So my hope is with the opportunity that organizations are making the right choices around that. And then even an organization, if I can say, like the Beryl Institute, that is standing for the fact that this will not go away, this will not be a fad. And in fact, if we do our job and build a true field around patient experience, we can impact healthcare for a long, long time to come with the patient and family perspective at the forefront of the conversation. And we've done our job. And Mr. Skeptical should still continue to ask those questions so that we know healthcare providers and healthcare workers and even us at the Institute are doing our job to ensure that happens.
Yes, and we're going to send Skeptical to the BerylInstitute.org. And
I invite them wholeheartedly to come and even submit more questions.
Absolutely. And our last one, Amelia in Texas wants to know, who are the patient experience officers within a hospital? It looks like most are doctors or hospital staff with no training on soft skills, which, after all, is usually the biggest stumbling block. Why not put some patients in charge?
Great question. I would say to alleviate this individual's concerns that is happening. What you will find actually in our survey, which stirred up a lot of interesting conversation, and in fact I think it disturbed some of our colleagues and friends at the American Medical Association, that based on our survey respondents in the benchmarking survey, only 3% of all the respondents said it was important for the patient experience leader to be a physician. Now, there's a prevailing thought out there that they have to be a physician because that's the only way you get physicians to play. I don't believe that's true. Physicians actually want great experiences for their patients. They take an oath to that effect before they even start their careers. So I think we have to help them understand how they play a role in influencing that. But more so what you're seeing now is that people that are taking on the patient experience officer role are coming maybe even from HR realms, from marketing realms, from clinical backgrounds, but people that have played multiple leadership roles, and even more interestingly enough, from hospitality and other areas. And I'll never suggest that a healthcare system is by any means a hotel. It's a very different setting, but some of the practices are not too far off from the standpoint we're providing services for someone that's in need. And what's interesting is now more so, we have a system here in the Washington, D.C. area, Nova Healthcare, who brought on a retired Ritz-Carlton executive to be their vice president of service excellence and patient experience. Not because they want to be the Ritz-Carlton, but they're looking for the rigor and methodology of what it means to be consistently delivering the best service experience possible, the best quality, the best safe, and the best service experience possible for patients and families. So I'd agree wholeheartedly. These multiple perspectives are central to the conversation. I'd tell this person that it's actually very encouraging because the market right now, from what I can see, is bringing in multiple voices into the patient experience conversation. Our community alone encompasses many of those people that come from a vast array of backgrounds. And it is the balance of clinical, service, safety, quality, marketing, human resources, and all of the elements that combine to ensure the best experience that are enabling, I think, organizations to make the best efforts possible and really drive the best outcomes overall. So great question. I agree wholeheartedly. We need to continue to encourage it and support it. Now, most importantly, as I said before, organizations should have a patient experience leader. Making that choice, they're halfway to achieving great outcomes.
Great. So maybe we're going to have Donald Trump with his hospitality mindset join one of the hospital boards.
I don't know if we would rate Donald Trump as the experienced guy.
I'm not kidding you.
but I hear you. That's going to be Mr. Skeptical's next question.
Exactly. Oh, thank you so much for joining us today and for entertaining our interesting questions. It's just been a treat to have you with us, and I hope you can come back many times.
Oh, Pat, this is a true joy. Obviously, a topic that I'm very passionate about, and more so, really encouraged by the great questions and the great thoughts that not only the folks that emailed you, but your listeners are considering. I mean, this is a critical topic, and I think it behooves all of us to make this a central topic in healthcare, and I think we're doing that. I can encourage it wholeheartedly and hope we will continue to ensure that it is central for a long time.
Jason, where can our listeners find out more about you and the Beryl Institute?
I'd love to invite you all to visit our website. It's www.theberylinstitute.org. A number of resources there, a number of open source resources from case studies and stories, as well as other information for members of the community that expand deeper into the conversation. But we worked really hard to ensure that anyone can partake in our conversation. As we said, with a large membership base, we have that much larger guest network of people that sign up for our newsletters and get our complimentary information on a regular basis. So we'd love to have as many people in the conversation as possible. So I encourage you to come to the website, find information, contribute ideas, share a case study, share your story with us, and we can ensure that it helps other people improve what they do on a day-to-day basis as well.
Jason, what a treat to have you with us today. This is such an important and a relevant topic, and I know you've helped give some clarity to it, and I appreciate your being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's truly an honor to be invited. Just really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. If you can't tell, obviously a topic that I have a little bit of passion around, and I appreciate your passion as well. It's always good to engage with someone that's truly committed to this work like you are, and an honor to be part of the work that you're doing as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Send all of our listeners to the Beryl Institute, BERYL, theberylinstitute.org. Jason, thank you for being with us today once again.
Wholeheartedly my pleasure. Thank you so much.